Hi everyone, welcome back to RTS and welcome back to another Counterfeit Kit Challenge. Yes, yes, yes. So I want to thank Tina and the other master forgers from the Counterfeit Kit Challenge for inviting me to come along and be a guest forger for the month of September. So all the links will be below for the actual Counterfeit Kit. And then also to the master forgers, all their blogs are listed below. So please hop over and see the kits that these ladies created. Oh, they're lovely and they're inspiring, and they use different supplies. We all use the inspiration of one kit and they all look so different. It's wonderful. And then also too, throughout the month, keep checking their blogs for the different challenges that Tina has up for this month. They are a wonderful challenge. And so today, that's what I'm going to show. I'm going to show one of the challenges that was assigned. And so the assignment is to use purple, red, and gold on a layout. And so that's what I'm going to do. And so what I thought I would do is I would do something a little different, because you saw me make the kit. So I thought maybe since I'm going to do a start to finish, you would like to see how I pull items from the kit to start the process of my start to finish video. So that's what I'm going to do. So of course, as I start any start to finish video, layout, however you want to say it, I always start with my papers, sketch, and photos. That's just my formula, and it has been my formula for quite some time. And it's just that it's a quick jump start for me to get started on a layout. And so if you have a formula and it does not need to be fixed, keep doing it. Yes, keep using that formula that works. And that's what it works for me, is my papers, my sketch, and my photos. And so of course, you know, I have to keep in mind, I have to do purple, red, and gold. Yes, that's my challenge for today. Now, when I had pulled my kit together, I made sure that I put one paper in my kit that had an influence of purple or a couple supplies, because I knew that I was going to have that for an assignment, so I will show that. And so, of course, in that video that I was making the kit, I showed you the top of my rascal, because that's where every one of my supplies for my counterfeit kit is there, except for the papers, because they don't fit. So for my papers, I have, you know, a signature piece, something that tells me what this kit is, and then I have my 12x12 stickers, and then the rest of all my papers. Okay, and then how I keep things in order is that in the back is where I keep all my cardstocks. I keep them on the bottom. That's just how I do things for my brain. Okay, and so I know what I need, where I need to go when I need a certain thing. So for the papers that I pulled, and I'm not going to keep this too far because I have these stickers I can play with. Okay, so I pulled my papers from my kit, and this is what I pulled. Now remember, I have to use purple, red, and gold. Okay, so I already know there's my red, there's my purple, and so I had to get gold in. Well, you know how I'm going to do that. Yes, okay, so those are the papers I picked. Now, I wanted to say something. When you're working with a kit and you have a challenge or something you want to challenge yourself, don't be afraid to use your washi as to get your color in, and also too, if you need a small piece of paper, you can always do a couple rows, and I'm going to show exactly how to do that, because that's what I'm going to do. I want an introduction of something else. For as far as my sketch, I need about 3 pieces of paper and a background, and so I only have 2, so I may use one of these wood grains for a piece of pattern paper. Yes, because I'm not going to cut up a 12x12 piece of wood grain paper for a strip. No, not when I have washi, so I'm going to show how to do that. Okay, so of course, with my going formula, I'm going to start with my title. Now, I have no idea what my title is going to be for my page, but I know what it's not going to be. Okay, and I had talked about this in another video. If you have the place that you went or something that you did represented in the photo as far as the title, and this is a restaurant in Lancaster called Good and Plenty Restaurant, so there's no way I want to use that as a title, because then I'm just replicating what's already there. So that's why it's good to come up with an adjective or something catchy as far as a title. And so I don't know what my title is going to be. I thought about Good Eats, but I don't know. That sounds kind of corny. I don't know. This is where my daughter comes into play, because she helps me with titles, okay? So I'm going to think of something, okay? And sometimes if I can't come up with a title right off the bat, I'll come up with it as I'm pulling supplies, I'm thinking about the day, thinking about the event, and then a title just pops in. Yes, okay. So what I'm going to do for my gold is that I'm actually going to pull my gold thickers that I put in my kit, because I have to get gold in. And so I might as well do title and gold all in the same thing, and then I will meet the requirement of my assignment. Yes. And so, of course, if I'm pulling out thickers, I'm pulling out a piece of wax paper. Yes, and so I always just pull that at the same time. When I do my title, I pull my wax paper because I know I'm going to need it. Yes. Okay, so what am I going to do next? Okay, so after I do, you know, I have my, of course, my kit, and then my photos and my inspiration. There's my inspiration. And I honestly think, and I'll have the link below, this is just fresh off the printer, page map, September 2018. I tell you what, Becky Fleck is just awesome for giving us this free resource every month. Yes, and I think this is the one I'm going to do here in the third row. This is the one I'm going to do. And a lot of these are just simple backgrounds. Very simple. And so we will have a video coming up about go-to designs. That'll be like a little mini series we have coming up. And so it's taking a little bit of time. There's a lot of content in that. So just keep hanging on. Keep hit that notification bell. It will be coming. And let's see what else. I'm thinking, what else do we have? Okay, so I have my papers. There's my title. There's my wax paper. So now what do I want to do? Okay, well, I want to go by mood and feel. And I have had a lot of people ask me, what do I mean by mood and feel? Well, it's basically if you go by, and this was something I was taught back in the 90s, certain colors evoke a certain feeling. Certain colors evoke a certain mood. And so that's basically when I'm talking about mood and feel. It's about color and how you felt and what was the mood of the day. Okay? And so that's what mood and feel, and when I use that in scrapbooking, that is what I go by. How did I feel? Well, at the end of the day, I felt full because there was so much food there. But you can definitely use your photos as an indicator of your colors, which is exactly what I'm doing here. It's all fall colors, so it went with my fall kit, mood and feel. Okay, but the rest of what I'm saying about mood and feel is what did I do that day? Well, I was eating. So anything to do, and I was eating in a place that was kind of like country, okay? They called it Pennsylvania Dutch cooking, okay? And so anything that would make you feel like home and cozy and food, anything that has to do with your mood and feel. So of course, when I'm talking about food, what can you pull out? Doilies. Doilies, yes, doilies, okay? And I can see in my sketch that anything that I pull, I can work. You know, I can work anything in if I had to, okay? So mood and feel. And then when I'm picking out my supplies from my kit, I have my photos nearby. What was the mood and feel? What was what I was feeling, okay? So of course, I can keep in mind that I had tools. Okay, and so what did I have? I had this as one of my tools, apron lace. Well, of course, that's going to go together with a kitchen and cooking, absolutely. And the leaves, well, any of that would work, but I'm not really interested in that just yet. May pull that in later. I know I'm going to get one of these washies in to represent one of my papers. And then what else did I have for a tool? Okay, well, I had a challenge to do this crimper, and I honestly am going to try that. I'm going to see. I don't know how I'm going to get crimping in, but I'm going to play and I'm going to figure that out. Okay, so then of course, you know, we had stamps and other tools. We had embossing folders. So I definitely can use that. Maybe stamp some leaves. Who knows what we'll kind of come up with. Those will be for my clusters. Okay, so that I have that all handy. And then of course, I'm going to pull some items that made me feel, you know, that day that we went to a restaurant, had a humongous meal. Okay, so what do I have here? I have a pie. Well, yes. Okay, so what I do is when I see embellishments that I know that will help emphasize my story, and that's what mood and feel really is, okay, is anything that will emphasize your story. So, of course, you know, I have that pie, okay, and then, of course, in my kit, and I'm just pulling things right from my Rascog. Also, I had, and of course, I'm opening these, but I'm doing it as if I was just sitting here to scrap. I have mason jars. Well, you know that's perfect. Yes. So you see how I'm already pulling out embellishments from what I had in my kit. And so that's the beauty of a kit. You're narrowing your choices from your whole space to just a collection kit. And now to do a layout, I'm narrowing my choices on my wax paper. And so, of course, you know, we had this honkin' chipboard sticker set from Prima. And I see a couple things on here that I really think, don't you just love to hear the sound of packages? I do. Yes, I do. Okay, so what did I see here? I saw something about let's see, milk and a dairy farm. Well, yes. Now I'm looking for anything that had to do with cooking, kitchen, country, you know, that type of thing. Okay, so what do we have on the other sheet of that? We also had, oh, us. That definitely could work because it was just the two of us. Thankful for this life. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That makes me feel like the day because we felt very thankful that we got to travel and go and do some things that day. And then it says Mapleview Farm Dairy Whipping Cream. Well, yes, that's mood and feel, baby. That's food. So that's what I'm doing. Now, would any of these work? Absolutely, the word gather, that would work too. Because you're gathered to eat. Yes, yes. Any of these would have worked? Yes. I'm just looking to see, because if you see on this, I have two of this like peachy color. I'm seeing if I have something else that would go ahead and do that. Huh, full hearts equal love. It should be full bellies equal love. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I'll just put that in there as a little corny little thing, maybe. Okay. And so then what I do is when I'm putting things on wax paper, that doesn't mean that I'm going to use them all. But it definitely gives me an option. Okay, and so what do I have now? I have some word stickers. And it says dinner. Gobble. Oh, well, yes. Gobble down your dinner. Yes. What else do we have? Feast. Oh, feast. That's a good word. Yes. 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 So I only just pull a few. I don't pull, oh, together. We were together. Okay. So, again, just pulling some more. What else do I have here? Well, I have some gold elements on this fancy pants, but I don't know if, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like a two different kind of gold, so that might be a skip. What do I have here? Okay, so I know that I have to get this purple in, and some of these have a purple tint to them, so I'm going to have to do that if I want to represent this purple. And there's an apple. See, I'm already, I could make a scene from those. What else? I have a bird. Well, that would be the purple, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, and so that's what I'm doing. I'm just pulling things and put them on my wax paper. And what else do we have? Okay. Well, then what you would have next would be a few more stickers. Okay, now this says Happy Thanksgiving, and you'd say, why are you pulling that? Because of the yellow. I will just use that as a yellow, little yellow, look for a cluster. And see here I have a yellow heart. Well, if it can come off. If it could come off. Maybe. Maybe not. And again, I have a couple more yellow. And so now I'm going by color because I have that mustard yellow. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I don't see anything on there. And then I have these. Oh, now here's a nice one that says together. Yes, I like that. And then we go to what I would say finishing touches. Okay. And so finishing touches would be things like, you know, these brads. I don't know, that grateful almost looks like it's purple, but it's probably brown. And maybe you could get away with that. We'll see. Oh, here's one. See, now I have a purple, can you say purple? Burgundy purple brad. Now, I really wouldn't pull these to the end, but I know that I have to get that color in. Oh, that's really not. Well, maybe this one is. Maybe I just pulled the wrong one. I really don't pull in finishing touches till at the end, but because I have the challenge of purple, I need to get those in there. Yes, okay? I need to get that in there, okay? So I'm trying to think if this other one is purple. I don't know. Kind of hard to see. But I know I have to get that in there. And so then I would look through here. Well, if I could open it. Wow, goodness. Okay. And then I have different things in here. Of course, wood grain enamel dots. Well, yes, I could do any of it. Okay. Now here's another. I could use that as a coaster. That could be a possibility. And then I have leaves and things like that. Okay. And oh, there's a paper clip. I could use that as part of like the menu thing. Okay, so that's what I did. Just pulled some things. Okay, so I have a little bit of everything on my kit represented right here. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay. So, you know, I can always use some Nouveau Crystal Drop. So that is what I did. I just pulled some things together. I know I have to get some purple, red, and gold. And so there's my purple flowers. There's my red and my gold. So my challenge is going to be met. And then my challenge is to use that crimper. We will see. We will see. We will see. And so that's what I'll do. I will play with these supplies here. And then, of course, you know, I always say this when you're working with a kit. If it's not in the kit, go get it. Yep, That's what I say. If it's not in the kit, go get it, because you don't have to just stick with what's in your kit, because sometimes you think about things after you put the kit together. So yes, if it's not in kit, go get it. Yep, exactly. Okay, maybe I'll put that quote at the end of the video. Okay, so I will be back with a finished page. It's not going to be a difficult design. No, I'm going to have fun playing with my clusters, and we'll talk about that when I come back with a finished page. Okay, hang on. Okay, I'm back with my finished page, and of course it has to do with food, has to do with fall colors. You put them both together and you get a fun page. Yes, I think we would all agree with that. I don't think anybody does not like fall colors and you don't like food. Yeah, so here we go. So with the sketch I used came from the page map September 2018. I'll have that linked below. And I used this sketch here in the third row. And so if you look at the background papers, this is a band design, and then the embellishments are done in a diagonal design. So it's basically taking two go-to designs and putting them in one sketch. And that's probably why I was drawn to it. And we'll talk more about go-to designs and things like that coming up in a few weeks. So if you look at my background papers that make up my band design, and really all it is 3 strips of paper, nothing too difficult. Honestly, it's not. And so I took this floral paper, my wood grain paper, and then my mustard yellow paper, and I put all of that on a light colored wood grain, and then gave it a thin red matte, because red was one of my challenge colors I needed to use. And so let's talk about this wood grain paper for a minute, because I said when I was building the kit, and I'll have that video linked below if you want to see how I built this kit, is that if you don't have the paper you want in your stash or your inventory or your collection, and also embellishments, don't forget to pull out washi and let washi make some paper and make some embellishments. Okay, so how did I do this? Well, what I did was I took a piece of cardstock, not paper, cardstock, because you want it to have some weight. And I have a section in my space that's for papers that they're just not so loved, but yet I can use the back for other things, okay? And I will have that video linked below talking about paper categories. So I took 3 strips of washi, and I just did it in 12 inches, and I did 3 rows, okay? Cut that out, and there's my wood grain paper. Yes. Honestly, so don't forget to use that washi. Now, I put this washi on white paper because it gives more of an impact, and I learned that from my friend Vanessa Bell, and so I will have her video, her YouTube channel linked below, because she does beautiful pages. Yes, so I call that the Vanessa trick if you've watched a lot of my start to finish videos, and I love using my washi that way. And honestly, truth be told, when Vanessa showed that trick, I fell in love with washi more than I did before, because now there's so many more uses for it. Because when you put it on a page, it's but when you put it on a piece of white cardstock, it really pops, and that's what I like. I like colors that pop. So I call that the Vanessa trick. Okay, so if you look at my clusters, then my clusters went in a diagonal design, and so for this cluster and title base, I used doilies. Yes, because you know, when you're talking with food, about food, and yeah, loving food, doilies is a good embellishment to use for that. And so then in my title and cluster base, I used more than 1 doily. So here on the right is just 1 doily. I think this is about 3 or 4. And again, I like that pop of impact that layering the doilies give. You don't have to do that. It's just something I like for my style. And then down here, you'll see for my cluster bases, I used leaves. And so I stamped them. So on this layout, I got in stamping. Actually, I got in double stamping, I got in fussy cutting, and then I got in crimping. Yes, so we're going to talk about all of that. So you may need to take a little bit of a pause. We're going to do a little tutorial here about fussy cutting. Okay, so let's talk about the stamping, since I was just talking about that. Okay, so I'm going to move this just for a minute, and we're going to bring out some stamps and some images, and we're going to talk about stamping on your pages for a bit. So if you see the stamping I have here is these leaves, okay, which I fussy cut, and we're going to talk about that. And then I stamped this whole subtitle over here, which says Crisp October Autumn Harvest. Okay, and I just repeated those. Okay, now you do not need to have a platform to stamp on your 12 by 12 pages. We all know that, but because I had to do double stamping for each one of these images, having a platform was a must, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. So I'll move that. And what I used for this one is simply because I didn't feel like getting out my Timmy. platform, I just use my We Are Memory Keeper Precision Press, and I do not know if these are on the market anymore. You know, there was a big hoopla about the lawsuit and all that. So I don't know if these are available anymore, but if you have one, keep it. Don't get rid of it, because it's just a nice little size, and you absolutely can use it for stamping on your layouts. You just can't get to the very middle of your page. So what I did was to do my leaves, and I used this stamp set here by Inka Dinka Do. I love the name of that company. Yes, okay. And I used this leaf image right here. And this is what I want to say. This is just one of my fall stamp sets. And don't be afraid, because, you know, I have this in an Avery L pocket. Don't be afraid to cut up your stamp sets to make them fit into your pocket, okay? This is just a standard Avery L pocket they came out with in the very beginning. I know they have larger sizes now and smaller, but don't be afraid to cut up your stamp sets to make them fit, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. You're going to use them all the same, so they don't have to stay as they were made. And so I used this stamp. Okay, let me go pull this here. And so, of course, and let me make sure I'm in frame. Let me slide this up a tad. And so then, of course, I just had, let me see, I'll just use the back of this. I just put where I needed to be, and I just used some scrap paper, and of course put this on here. And then what I did was I stamped it in black first, okay? And this is the black I used, which was the Ranger Archival Jet Black. And then after that, then I stamped it with this purple, and this is what the purple looks like, okay? But I stamped it in black, and then right after that, I stamped it in this purple. And this purple is called Grape Juice by Hero Arts. It's a mid-tone ink, and it looks blotchy when you stamp it, but it turns out very nice. Very, very nice, okay? So the reason why I did double stamping on each one of these leaves, okay, and then also, too, on this over here, is because I wanted that plum color, okay? Now, I could not get this plum color. If you notice, this is the purple, but my leaves are plum. So I knew by looking at the stamped ink samples I have on my inks, and I'll have a video linked below if you want to watch how I organize my ink pads. I knew that this purple was not what I wanted. I wanted more of a plum purple. So I knew I had to add black to it to get that darker purple, okay? Or you could stamp the purple twice. You know, there's no right way or wrong way. And so then what I did, I had to do double stamping. So it made it easier with the platform. And so then I took the black, I took that purple, and then what I ended up with the marriage of those two is I got that middle color, which was that plum. I'll pull that a little closer. Okay, so don't be afraid. If you don't have the ink color you want, play around on some scrap paper to see if you can marry a couple colors together. Just make sure you don't have ink transfer from one ink pad to the other. You want to make sure you wipe off your ink or your stamps before you do that. And so then I took the black and this grape, and I got the plum. So that's what I did. And the same way with my text that I use, and this is an Ali Edwards stamp set, and I'll show that in just a minute. I double inked each one of those, okay? And so I would do it in black, then the purple, black, and the purple, okay? You had to repeat it a little bit, but that platform kept it in place, and so that was easy to do. Okay, I'm going to talk about these other images here in a minute, so let me move this. But yes, this little platform works good. And if you have it, don't get rid of it because you can't get them anymore. Okay, so let's talk about these, because I did, if you see on my layout, and my journaling is getting moved here because this is where my journaling is going to go, is that I fussy cut those leaves, okay? And so I had been getting some questions in the last few days. How do I do fussy cutting? Because I had showed a 2-page layout. It was the colors of Charleston, and I'll link that below. And it was basically my entire embellishments and clusters was from fussy cutting. So there is only one secret to remember with fussy cutting. Well, let's say 2, okay? The first tip is that you move the paper, not your scissors. Now, I'm left-handed, so things will look backwards. And the other rule is that it's not going to look perfect, and that's what you want, because that's fussy cutting. If it looked perfect, then that means a machine did it, okay? So when I first started fussy cutting, I did not like it at all, and I thought I couldn't do it because I was left-handed. No, fussy cutting is fussy cutting, okay? It's not perfect. It's not by a machine, so it's not going to be perfect. So this is what I'm going to do here, is I'm going to cut out that leaf. So what I do is the easiest thing you can do is when you're fussy cutting is cut away a lot of this extra paper. Okay, and I'm going to try to go slow. Okay, but I had some people ask me if I could show some fussy cutting, and I'll try to do that because as fall and winter happens, I do more stamping. And so then I just start with one edge, and then I just, if you see, I've moved my paper. And if you see little ridges in your design, that's when you want to move your paper. Okay, that's what you do. See how that has a little bit of a ridge? I don't know if you can see that. There's a little bit of a ridge there. That's because I just moved my paper. And I'll do it on this side as well. Okay. And it does not have to be perfect. And so, you see how I'm moving my paper, but I'm keeping my scissors still. And let me tell you something. I'm left-handed. So if I can do it, anybody can do it, honestly. Yes. Okay. And then I'm going to show you here in just a minute. Now, I know a lot of people with fussy cutting, they don't like this white. So what they would do is they would take some ink and they would ink the edges. And that is really good if you want to hide some imperfections with your fussy cutting, is to ink your edges when you're done. I don't like a lot of inking. So, but that is one way to do it. Now, if you see where you have a little bit more white than you want, just simply go in and trim a little bit more. Again, it's not going to be perfect. And of course, the bigger your design and the less intricate your design is, the easiest it's going to be. So start with a heart. Start with some circles or stars. It doesn't have a lot of intricate design until you get comfortable with it. Okay. And again, look at this. Two different. This is a little bit more thicker white image. It's totally up to you what you like. Okay. So again, let's place some more. So what you can do is cut out this extra. And so that's just less paper to deal with. Okay. That's what I do. Okay. And then I always start with a wider size, the longer size. And watch, I'm moving the paper, but I'm not moving the scissors. I don't know if you could just saw that. I'm sorry. We're just going to keep on going. And so just move your paper. And you don't have to follow exactly. Every time there's an indent in your design, you don't have to follow it exactly. Just move your paper a little bit. You'll get that movement. See, I didn't follow all of them, but I still get that movement. Okay, and we'll finish up the bottom of this leaf here. And again, I'm moving the paper, not the scissors. Okay, and so this even has a more thicker outline. Let me get a piece of paper so you can see that. Okay, so the thickness of your edging, see how this has a little bit more, and this has a little bit more. It's totally whatever you want. You can't go wrong with it. And again, you can do some inking along the edges if you want to hide some of your imperfections. I just don't care for that look on my pages. Okay, so again, try some shapes that don't have a lot of design until you get comfortable with it. And that's one of those things, the more you do, the more you become comfortable with it. Honestly. Now let me get this mess, because I don't want to see this mess on my video. No. So we're going to talk about these leftover images here. Okay, so while you have your stamping out and you have ink on your stamp and you're trying to clean it up, you know what I always do is that I will take some scraps and I will keep stamping images until there's not any ink on there, for two reasons. You'll get second and third generation stamping. Okay, this is second and third generation stamping. This is the original. Let me put that in order. Okay, that's just one go. Okay, and then this is a second generation and third generation inking or stamping. And what does that mean? That means I put black ink on this stamp right here, and then I used it once. And then without re-inking it, I stamped it again. And without re-inking it, I used it a third time. And so this would be second generation, this third generation stamping. And so it just means you just keep using that loaded up stamp until you don't have any more ink. And so there you get three different looks. So there are black now turned into a very, like a darker gray and then a very light gray just from this black ink pad. Okay. So while you're having your stamp there, and this is at the end of your stamping, go ahead and keep stamping out some more till you're out of ink on here, and then you get some extra cuts. And the same way with the purple. Okay, now so this was the purple, and then this was a second, and this would be a third. Okay, now it's not exactly perfect, but it doesn't matter. And so then what you can do then is then I would put this in my color purple bin, and those would go in my gray, and this is going to go in my black color bin. So there I already have some leaves already stamped. I don't have to pour out any ink, any stamp, or any platform. I already have some already done. You already have it out. Might as well do a couple extra, and then you already have the stamp loaded up. Go ahead and just keep using some scraps until it doesn't have any more ink, okay? Yes, you're not going to get this image, but there's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about, the stamping. I'll move that here for a minute, okay? And, okay, so let's talk about additional stamping, okay? And the additional stamping I did, of course, you know, I have notes here. Yes, I had this additional stamping here, and this was from an Allie Edwards fall stamp set. And I honestly think Technique Tuesday is one of the one of the top companies when it comes to the quality of stamps. I really do. I have bought a lot of different kind of stamps. I haven't bought stamps in the last few years because I have quite a few sets of stamps, and so it was just one of those things I put the brakes on, okay? And so usually now when I have stamp sets, they're given to me and that type of thing, but I don't buy anymore because I have way too many. And I don't use them, so there's no sense keep buying. So again, don't be afraid to cut up your stamp sets to fit into your Avery L pockets or whatever system you're using for your stamps. Don't be afraid to cut up that backing. Just don't cut your stamps. You got to be careful about that. But honestly, this was from 2009, and this is when Allie Edwards had paired up with Technique Tuesday, which of course that's no more. She went on her own. But I think Technique Tuesday is one of the top 5 companies when it comes to stamps. I think their quality is excellent and their customer service is great. And I hope this hasn't changed, but until this is the last thing this is what it's been for a long time. If you have a problem with a stamp, you can contact Technique Tuesday, and if they can, if it's still in production, say if I had a problem with this autumn stamp right here, okay, they would replace that for free. Yes, they would. So don't forget, if you're having a problem with the stamp, reach out to Technique Tuesday. They have awesome customer service. They have awesome quality of stamps. Yes, they do. Okay. So I just used those words. And again, I used my platform. I double inked, I started with the purple, then I started with the black, then I went with this grape color to get this plum color. And the platform kept that stamp stationary in order for me to do that double stamping. Because if you used a block, there's no way you're going to line that up each time, and to do it twice, it's impossible. Believe me, I've tried over the years. Okay, now up here, if you notice, I had a smudging of this purple because, and this is the problem I have with stamping. You get smudges, and then it might get on your photo, it might get on your page. What you have to do is you have to embrace it. So I had a smudge up here, so I took one of these little dots. It came from another Allie Edwards stamps, and I purposely covered up that splotch right here. And then I just added a few more to make it look intentional. Now I'm going to take my black here and I'm going to make that a little darker, okay, when I'm done with the video. So yes, that's what you do when you have a splotch or an ink splatter or anything like that. Just embrace it. Just keep doing a few more. That's how you do it, because you can't do stamping. And that's probably why I don't do a lot of mixed media, because I can't control where things are going. It's just, I get very funny about that. When I'm done with the page, I'm done with the page. I don't want to have to rethink it. Okay, so now let's talk about, in my challenge, I had to have gold, red, and purple, of course. And you see in my purple, I did the leaves, and here, and then also this subtitle over here. So if you see that these leaves, and these purple leaves, and this purple subtitle, that creates a visual triangle, okay? So you have to remember when you're talking about visual triangles and clusters, that your visual triangle does not always have to be in clusters. It can be these leaves up here, it can be the subtitle and these leaves here, and that's just purple. Okay, that is a visual triangle, and that video should already be up by now, but coming up in a day or two. It's a long video, it's a long lesson, a lot of talking about visual triangles and clustering 101, so hop over and watch that. And so that will help you, okay, because if you look, we have a diagonal design here, but with my purple elements, because that was one of my challenge colors, is I made a visual triangle with that color purple. Okay, absolutely. So then what else did I have for... let's see, gold. Okay, so of course in my gold I used the title, and then I say this all the time, but I'm going to keep repeating it. In your alphas, your thickers, whatever you're using for your title, don't overlook these little additional little bits and bobs they have. And so I use those little gold dots as like enamel dots on my pages, okay? Because I wanted to use what was in my kit, and that was in my kit. And so I used those little gold pieces off that thicker alpha sheet as little enamel dots. Okay, and what else did I have for gold? Okay, so let's talk about, since I talked about my title, let's talk about my journaling. My journaling will go down here on this white space. There's just some things I don't want online. And so I wanted to show with this journaling, okay, you see how I have this edge here. So when you're doing your journaling, and I do a lot of computer generated journaling, but also if you're someone that does handwriting on your pages and you're adding it on with pieces of paper and things like that, don't forget to use your punches. And I had one here. Don't forget to use your punches to give you a decorative edge. Okay, you see this right here? This journaling, and this is exactly what my journaling is going to go on. I have a little decorative edge here, and I'll show you why in just a minute. But don't forget to use your punches to come in here and create edges with your punches. Just put them in there. I use this apron lace, and I put that in there, and you flip it over so you can see where you're punching, and you can give yourself some edges on your journaling strips and your journaling blocks. Okay, so that's another little thing not to forget. Okay, so now let's talk about the red. Yes, the red that was on my color challenge. So of course I used a very thin mat of red, and then I added photo corners. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. And then I added in this border edge that I used this apron lace. I call it apron lace. It's a doily lace, and then I ran it through my crimper. So we're going to talk about that. So if you need to take a pause, go ahead, because we're going to talk about some more. Okay, so now on my mat, I wanted to make sure I had that same color red for my edge here, and then also my photo corners. Okay, and I wasn't quite sure if I was going to mat my photos in red, but I ended up using white. I think if you have some dark colors in your photos, putting them on a thin white cardstock mat really pops the colors. So what I did is that, I'm going to flip this over, is that I gutted the inside. Okay, and so then that gave me another whole option of the red, because that was the only piece of red in my kit, and I wanted to stick what was in my kit. And so then, of course, I took my leftover piece. Now, because I gutted the inside of that 12 by 12 red mat, my edging here was not going to be 12 inches. I wasn't concerned about that. I just used whatever I had, and I used my punch. And then what I did, and I have a sample here, and then what I did was that I ran that through my crimper. So this is what I cut down. Okay, now that's pretty in and of itself, but I wanted to challenge myself and get some crimping in. Again, just more texture. So what I did was I just ran this through my crimper. Now what you want to do is you have two arrows here on the front. So you put that in, and you want to do it till you see these rolls. Okay, there's indentations in these rolls. Okay, you want to put that in until you see it move. Okay, and so you see my very edge here? I'm putting that in one of those slots, just like that. Okay, I'm putting it in that slot, and I do it just till I see it move. Okay, so I'm going there, you see it move, and then you're going to clamp it, and then you're going to slowly roll it. Okay, now in my next challenge I might try to show another use of crimping, so come back on the 19th for that. Okay, so then you slowly crimp it. Okay, now you have to remember when you're crimping something that it will shorten the length of your piece that you had. Okay, it's no different than if you're curling your hair, and say your hair is 10 inches, and then when you curl it, it's going to be shortened. When you crimp it, of course, it's going to be shorter. Okay, and so then all I did was tuck that in. Okay, and then while you're doing that, if you want to make some extra, go ahead and do that too. You can put these in with your border stickers, border strips. Now, sometimes your crimping will get off, and it'll be a little slanted, and it may be a little wonky. Embrace it. That's part of crimping. But when you are crimping, go slow, and then you should get these straight edges when you're doing your crimping. Okay, so what else did we talk about? I covered up my notes. Okay, so now let's talk about, and I love how it turned out. I really, really love how that turned out. Okay, and again, that's old school. I've had that tool for a long time. Okay, so now let's talk about the photo corners. Okay, and I have one in each one of the corners except this one because I wanted to talk about that because I am someone, I use a lot of photo corners. Okay, so again, I used that piece that I had got it out of that background. Okay, and then I had used, and I think this is one of those punches that if you can find, I would definitely, I have something on that. I would definitely try to see if you can find it. If you love photo corners. Now, I have been noticing that they have some dies with photo corners, but they're very intricate. That's not my thing. I just wanted a basic photo corners because I use photo corners a lot and I don't want to keep buying them. Okay. So what you do, you simply, and you think, well, now how is this image going to be a photo corner? Okay. And I'm going to show you what it looks like when you punch it. And this is by Martha Stewart. Okay. And so this is what it looks like. Okay, it doesn't pop out the whole way. Okay, you're thinking, how am I making a photo corner out of that? Okay, so what you do is see it has two embossed sides. So you just fold that, and right there is your photo corner. That is what it is. Okay, that is your photo corner. I'll put that a little closer. But that's your photo corner. You just made it out of a piece of paper. So if you can find that Martha Stewart photo corner punch, definitely one of those, it's like those hexagon punches. It's one of those things they have in your inventory because you'll never ever get rid of it. No. So I wanted to show how I'm going to do that. And so I'm going to come over here. You're saying, well, now why do you need to show this? Because if you look, this has some dimension to it. Well, how is that going to go on your page? Because if you just put it here, okay, well, yeah, well, now what are we doing here? This is a hot mess. What do you do? Okay, and I remember the first time I tried this, I was like, well, what do I do? Okay, so what you can do is you can put this behind here, okay, and then what you do is you flip this over, if you can. I'm going to lose my journaling strip here. I don't want that. Okay, I'm trying to do this at an angle. Okay, I'll push this up here. And then you just hold this up, and then you try to, let me do it this way. So there I bend it over, and then you can take some glue, and you would glue down those two flaps, okay, on the back, okay, not the front, the back, okay, and then that would give you this look right here for your photo corner, okay, which is what I have here, okay. Now, if you also find that your photo corner is has too much height in the front, you can take a little bit of glue. And if you have one of these fine line applicators, and I'll put the link for that below, is that you can put a dot inside your photo corner on the front, okay? And then that will smash it down a little bit, okay? If that makes sense, okay? See how that's up a little bit? It looks pretty, I think. Okay, so I wanted to show that because I know I have a lot of photo corners, and some of them I have made, some I have bought. It's a lot cheaper to make them. So that, again, that's the Martha Stewart. It doesn't look like much of a punch, but it really, really is. I will never, ever get rid of that punch. No. And so then I will just put some glue on there on the back, and then maybe a little tad in the front if it's sticking up. But it's looking pretty good right there. Okay. I'm just going to do that while I'm talking. So just hang in there. I'm going to get, and I will have the link below because a lot of people have asked me if this, it's a tacky glue now by Scotch, if it came with this tip. No, I had to buy that. Okay. So I am just simply gluing this on the back. Okay, and somehow you just have to play with it a little bit and give that a minute. And that's why I like this Scotch tacky glue, because it's a quick dry. That's why I like it so much. And it works on a variety. Look at that, how quick that is. It is a quick drying tacky glue. Yes, okay. So I wanted to show that. So there I used my red for my mat. I used red for this edge punch that I ran through this lovely crimper, and then the photo corners. Okay, so now let's talk about the purple. Of course, you know, I have the leaves, and I have the subtitle, and then I even have this little bit in here that creates my visual triangle. Now, and I did say that not always a visual triangle has to be with your clusters. You can do it with other elements on your page. And again, that video will be up in a day or two, or already I will have the link below. So now if we look at some of more of my leaves here on these clusters, you see in the clusters I have the title, and I just use elements that I had showed in the previous segment of things I pulled from my wax paper. Okay, and this is what I have left over. And what I wanted to show is on this wax paper, don't be afraid to tear up wax paper however you want, so you can figure out, well, maybe do I want this here, or do I want that sticker up there, or whatever. Don't be afraid to rip things off of your wax paper and rip around it, boy, that's a saying, to figure out how you want to place things, okay? And believe me, I love wax paper. I use a lot of it, okay? So don't be afraid. Just because I have it out on the wax paper doesn't mean you can't rip it up to even make it even more portable as to where you may want. Oh, I like that orange. Oh, I like that. See, you just never know where you're going to put something, and it's easier if you can just let it there for a minute. Look, do I want it there? Do I want it there? Okay, so use that wax paper to your benefit. Rip them up as small as you need to, okay? And then if you look at these clusters, look what I have. I have Nouveau Crystal Drops. And what color was that? That was English Mustard. That's this color right here. Went really well with my colors of my photos. And so I just put 3, 3, and then I did a 5 here, and 3, 3, 3. See, I want to show you another visual triangle. These Nouveau drops right here create a visual triangle, and then I have 3 here. These create a visual triangle. Okay, so I have a visual triangle and a visual triangle, and then I have a purple visual triangle. So you can do so many visual triangles on a page. So spend some time, learn something new, and that video is very long. It's like an hour and 45 minutes long. So watch it in segments, do it when you have time, and it's all about visual triangles and clustering. So hop over and watch that. Okay, so I think the other thing I have last is leftovers, and I get this question a lot. So what am I going to do with leftovers? Okay, so you know, things like this, they're things like this, they're going to go back in my kit, of course, okay? And I'm going to use them for another challenge I have coming up next week. And then my leftover photos, I say this all the time. I use these slip writers all the time. You can still find them in Hobby Lobby in a set of 3. And you can write on the back of your photos. You don't have to worry about anything rubbing off. And so when you have leftover photos, go ahead and do yourself a favor and put the date on your photo as you're working on the page, because then when you use this again down the road, you already know when it was from. Okay, so then leftover papers. Well, what leftover papers did I have? Well, I had these left over. Okay, so they're going to go back in with my other papers from my kit, and these leftover embellishments, again, they will go in my kit. And then what I will do, I'm trying to find my kit here. Oh, I have a whole pile. I have a whole pile. What happened? Okay, so these little bits and bobs right here, as I'll open up this little embellishment box. I'm telling you, the latch on that is amazing. And so then I'll just throw all these. Now, they came off that Simple Stories bread pack. Doesn't matter. I'm not putting it back on the pack. Anything that I can, even these, put them right on the wax paper, put them right back in there. Photo corners, yes. Paper clip, little rubber birdie, yes. Now, these I will make sure I won't put them back on the chipboard. I will just simply, I will tear these off the wax paper, just like this, and I will put them in that kit. I will not take the time to put them back on sticker sheets, because I do find that once you take stickers off the sticker sheet and chipboard, they never go back on. If they do, they don't stay. No. So this is what I would do. I would simply just use my wax paper, and then I just put them in that kit until I'm done playing with it. Okay? And that's what I would do with the rest of them. And there's another photo corner. Yes, so that's what I would do with my leftovers. And I know I get asked that a lot, so I wanted to show that. So you don't have to put everything back where you got it. Just put it in a place where you can use it again. Okay, so I think that is all I wanted to say for this challenge. That video probably got a little longer, but I had gotten some questions about fussy cutting and some stamping, and what do I do with leftovers? And I thought, might as well show it, right? Okay, and of course, who doesn't like to look at fall colors? Yes, absolutely. Okay, so that is all I have for today. for the Counterfeit Kit Challenge. So come back on the 19th and I will have another Counterfeit Kit Challenge video coming up. So that's all I have for today. Come back to RTS because you never know what we're going to learn. Bye!